Hello, hello. I'm
Hi.
Charlie. This
I'm
is
Tara.
Tara.
Yes.
You can introduce yourself. That's fine.
Thanks. I'm Tara. We're here with Progress Texas, and we're here to talk about the best of the week.
Best of the Week Live. As y'all know by now, we do this every Friday afternoon to coincide with our Best of the Week email, which you can subscribe to.
Yes. It's in the description of this video. I put it there, so you can
ProgressTexas.org/subscribe.
Yes.
And so let's get started. And what else do we want to know this week? This has been an absolute shit show. It's been an absolute shit show, and now it's sleeting, so things are not looking good.
We're feeling a little bit like, well, one, I think we went out to lunch today, and there was a man who was there, and he was like, climate change is real, y'all, and we're like, yeah, it is. So.
All it took was sleet. We finally did it. Thank God.
But this week we've been working a lot on voter suppression here in the state, and we've been doing a lot of work with Common Cause Texas, who does wonderful work to protect our votes. And all of this is in an effort to get senators to vote no on Governor Greg Abbott's appointee for Secretary of State, David Whitley.
Yeah, so it's been a really interesting case. We had his hearing yesterday, his confirmation hearing. Texas is a little bit wonky in that, unlike on the federal level, you can start working before actually being confirmed to your position.
Yes.
So Whitley has already screwed up his job before ever being confirmed.
Yes, you've probably seen a lot of the articles that talk about voter fraud here in the state, a lot of the articles that reported a number of 95,000 individuals, and there have been so many errors found in this report that Whitley put out with his office. And after that report was put out, the Attorney General tweeted, the Governor tweeted, Donald Trump tweeted about this report, and
are you saying that Donald Trump tweeted inaccuracies?
Yes, he did. And so a lot of this, when you sum it up, is taking the votes of people who have been naturalized as U.S. citizens and suppressing them. And so this is voter suppression blatantly, and we don't think that Whitley is fit for this office because of his mistakes.
Yeah, and really just a rampant, one of the things I really liked, we also saw this week, we had the State of the Union on the federal level with Donald Trump, and then Stacey Abrams' response afterwards. She did that incredible job, and one of my favorite parts is she just said so plainly that voter suppression is real.
Yes.
And we are seeing that play out in Texas right now.
Totally.
They're trying to get away with it, is the funny thing. It seems like if this was any other issue, they would have pulled his nomination by now, and he wouldn't even be doing this committee hearing that we saw yesterday. But it also was a great chance for some of our champions like Kirk Watson to ask his questions. Senator Royce West came in at the end and asking some questions there. Some incredible progressive champions there. Really holding his feet to the fire, but also groups like Common Cause, like you said, they testified, and also people affected by this, naturalized citizens.
Yes, people who are on this list who are citizens, but were somehow reported to not be or to potentially be voting illegally, and that's not the case. There are not cases of voter fraud. There are very, very few, if there are, and like that's just not an issue that Texas is facing. This is a very manufactured problem that has been created by the state. So we have a few ways that you can act to get rid of this guy and to make sure that he doesn't hold office. We have a petition on our website, and whenever you sign it, and I think Wesley is going to be putting it in the comments below as well, or already has. Whenever you sign that petition, it sends an email to every Texas senator and tells them to vote no on Whitley. So we really appreciate whenever you add your name to that and make sure that they do hear our voices, and they do hear that Texans are worried about this guy. Like, this guy's bad news.
And we've seen a lot of them thus far, which has been really exciting to see how this is galvanizing people. Too often voter suppression is an issue that we don't talk about, that everyday people aren't talking about, and we're seeing that change now.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to see how that progresses. Also, make sure that you check out our Twitter thread. We have a lot this week, but definitely the one on the Whitley confirmation hearing yesterday can kind of give you kind of a quick update of how that all went down.
Totally. And we have a lot of other ways that we'll be kind of putting out there over the next week. So the hearing happened on Thursday, yesterday, but they will be voting next Thursday on February 14th on Valentine's Day on whether or not to confirm him.
Yeah, so that'll be the committee vote. Should he make it out of the committee, which we don't think he will, but if he does, it'll go to a full floor vote in the Senate, where he'll need 2/3 of the vote in the Senate. And if we can keep all of our Democratic senators there together, they won't be able to pass.
Yes.
So, some exciting things happening.
We have a lot of power, and it's because you voted, and it's because we're able to make our voices heard like this. So let's keep it going.
So make sure you take action on that. We touched a little bit on the State of the Union. I watched it, so no one else had to. I gave him that one view, so nobody else had to. We have another tweet thread on that. It was horrific in a word. It was really exciting to be able to see all of our new Democrats elected in Congress, especially the women on the Democratic side who all wore white. It was a really striking image.
We saw like Veronica Escobar and Sylvia Garcia sitting there with them wearing all white, like celebrating the suffragettes.
Speaker Nancy.
Right? Yes, Speaker Nancy. And so
with that iconic and condescending clap, which I have to find a way to do to other people in real life. It's really incredible.
But we did hear from Trump, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. He touched on abortion, which has like been coming up more and more, I think, in his sphere, and like he's been talking about it more, and it's been like there have been a lot of challenges to abortion access lately. So what did Trump say? Yeah,
so it was really interesting because it was in this whole sort of section about women. He notoriously not great with women. Talking about the new female elected Congress members, which got a lot of applause. I don't think he expected out of them. They didn't clap for anything else. And then talking about paid family leave and some other great Democratic ideas that he's trying to co-opt. And then just took this sharp right turn into like some really disgusting rhetoric about abortion and women who seek abortion. And we know here what kind of problem that is because we've had that problem with our state leadership for years. And so we know what that looks like and what kind of policies can follow from that kind of rhetoric. So it was very scary to see that spoken of in that light. And we know abortion is healthcare. We know that. That is settled fact already. And that nobody should face fear or shame or stigma for seeking healthcare at all. And so to have the president do that was definitely concerning. But I think there are some ways that we're seeing this on the state level too, and we have some great people that are fighting back. So what are we seeing on the bills filed in our sort of text ledge update on bills there?
And so some of these bills have been really pushed forward by a coalition that Progress Texas is a part of called Trust, Respect, Access. And so we're really excited to help support these bills. The first one I want to highlight is from the Lilith Fund, T Fund, and I believe Frontera Fund. And it's called Rosies Law, and it was filed by Representative Cheryl Cole. And it makes sure that abortion would be covered by Medicaid. And it's a really special law that or bill that they're trying to push forward. And actually, if you're in the Rio Grande Valley near McAllen, or if you're in Austin, they will be holding some events around Rosie's Law and like kind of drumming up some support for it on February 14th on Valentine's Day. So this next week. And if you want to hear more about Rosie's story, I'd encourage you to look at the Lilith Fund, the T Fund, and the Frontera Fund sites.
There's some great events going on around that right now. Any other bills that you're excited about?
Yes. HB 248 calls for the medical accuracy in the informational materials given to a woman seeking abortion. So something that happens when you go in to request an abortion to say that you get like some papers
or just
and
access,
some information.
Sort of general health care, reproductive health care.
Totally.
Advice in general.
some of the laws in Texas right now require you to get these materials that aren't factual and aren't accurate in a lot of ways.
How crazy is it that it is the law of the state to lie to women about science?
Yeah, it's super messed up. And so this bill filed by Farrar would make sure that those materials are accurate, medically accurate, scientifically accurate, and just make sure that women are able to get the facts before they have this procedure.
Sad that we have to file that bill, but glad that someone's championing it, for sure.
Totally. And then I think we've shouted this one out before, but I have one more I wanted to highlight for today, and that's Senator Jose Rodriguez's SB 150, or the Whole Women's Health Act. And that says that every woman in the state of Texas should have access to a safe and legal abortion, which is so important. We've seen women who have to travel hundreds of miles to be able to access abortion. We've seen women who, and just Texans who really just don't have this access, and making sure that people are able to travel, making sure that people are able to find these procedures in a safe manner is so important. So we really commend Senator Rodriguez for filing this bill as well.
He's been doing some great work this week and every week, so really glad you could highlight that one. And we talked, you can also look back, we talked about him and some other great Democratic legislation in our State of the State kind of breakdown that we did earlier in the week, and that's on our Facebook page. You can look at that. You can also look at our breakdown of all the bills that we've gone through so far, which we're commenting right now. That's our the good, the bad, and the ugly. So make sure you look at that and give you kind of an idea of some laws that we're looking out for, some bills we're looking out for.
Totally. And we would be remiss if we didn't bring up the Supreme Court decision that came down yesterday.
Late last night.
And so on Thursday, the Supreme Court blocked a very restrictive Louisiana law that would have left the state with only one single doctor who could have been authorized to perform abortion. So that, like, when you talk about restrictive access, that is an extreme case of, like, restrictive access, and that was in danger of happening. And so the Supreme Court came down in a 5-4 decision and said, no, this is really, like, not okay in any way and not legal. And so it isn't final. The court might hear a challenge to this in October, but this was a really big win for abortion advocates and for people who are fighting that Texans and U.S. citizens and everyone should have bodily autonomy, should be able to make their own decisions and plan their own futures. And
color me surprised, the dissent on that was written by one young Brett Kavanaugh. Young Brett, who tried to make some great claims in his confirmation hearing, that he was going to be a friend of women, wasn't going to do anything to overturn, any of these things, any of these standing laws. Didn't take long for that lie to fall apart.
No, and it's really disheartening to just see him on the bench, I think, and to see him sitting next to, like, some of the greats like Ginsburg and other people. And
Stay strong, Ruth.
I think we'll see maybe something happen, if Trump goes down, like maybe Brett
Please
will go
take
down.
Brett with you.
Brett,
For the love of God.
We want to move forward into like what's coming up here in the state. What can you do to make a difference and to make sure that we have our progressive voices heard, that we are truly like in the majority in this state and just need to speak up about it? So what are some of those events? One
of the big events that I wanted to touch on, and kind of hearkening back to that State of the Union, Trump specifically called out El Paso in that State of the Union and is trying to spread these disgusting lies about the crime rates there and the violence that is just simply untrue. It's one of the safest communities in the country, and then he decided that he was going to host a rally there next week.
On Monday,
Monday. It is on Monday. So the president will be going to El Paso on Monday, this place that he has said all these horrible things about, spread these lies. And there's a massive effort to protest him going on that I'm really excited about.
So tell me more about these organizations who are kind of like organizing this.
So it's really interesting. So this is going to be the March for Truth, Stop the Wall, Stop the Lies. So really a broad coalition coming together to say, just stop lying about these things in our communities and that we don't want this wall. The main organizer on that is the Border Network for Human Rights, which really does some incredible work in El Paso and along the border community to reunite families, to help work with people for their underserved understanding their rights and all sorts of different things. But it's a broad coalition of healthcare groups, women's advocacy groups, abortion advocates, all these sorts of people that are coming together who often don't get together in these kind of forming a diverse coalition, and they're all going to be together in El Paso on Monday. So that's going to be this. They're still hammering out the details, but again, that is in our Best of the Week email. It's the March for Truth. Definitely want to encourage people, if you're anywhere where you can get down to El Paso on Monday, we need this show of solidarity, truly, with these communities. But make sure that you're sharing the information, tweeting No Border Wall, and all those sorts of things to make sure that people know that we're fighting against this.
Yes, and we just released 2 kind of like a 4-part series against the border wall as well.
Yeah.
And I know that you've been really instrumental in kind of bringing us together on that effort. So what are some of the reasons that you've seen specifically? I know we've talked about the border wall a lot, but why are we what can people say when people are like, well, yeah, I'm for the border wall. Like, what can I say and go back to them and come up with?
Yeah, the first thing is that it's inhumane. And the one thing I liked about this series is we attacked it from so many different areas. We wanted to explore all the different reasons, and there are so many more that we could write about, that we don't need this wall and it's ineffective. But, it's an inhumane, ineffective vanity project of the president, to distract from a lot of the issues that he is going on. He's trying to make a huge noise about what he's doing that isn't actually going to do anything to protect this country, to protect these communities that are some of the safest places in the country.
Yeah.
So we also hit it from the environmental standpoint. We said it from the perspective of people who have lived that experience, going back and forth across the border, talking about the government employees who lost paychecks over this border wall. And so I think it's really important. Check that out. We just put them together where they're all in one place for you. And so you can share that information to have all those sort of different talking points about all the different ways that it is gross.
Yeah, thank you for that. Coming up also, I know we said this before, but we want to reiterate that on February 14th, on Valentine's Day, on Thursday, there will be another hearing of the Senate committee to either vote yes or no on David Whitley. And so we still have a lot of time to act on that, so we're really excited.
Make sure you're signing that petition.
Yes.
And keep sharing.
Totally. And then on our Instagram and our other social medias as well, we are still sharing our Black History Month series. February is Black History Month, and so we're really excited to celebrate our progressive friends and people who are doing really great work and furthering our cause.
It seems like so often the Black History Month discussion is about the 1960s and all the formation of the civil rights movement, which is so important to know, but it's also important to highlight the work of incredible Black advocates that's happening right now in our communities. So I'm really excited about that project. Stay tuned for that. There's a lot of great stuff coming out, and it's really inspiring to look at. Let's move to my favorite part of the week, the facepalm.
And we had a lot of fun with this one this week. So if you get our emails, we're really excited about it.
Yes.
But, during the hearing, there was this moment where kind of all of our jaws dropped. We were like, the hearing of David Whitley, and for Secretary of State yesterday. And so, what was it that actually happened?
Yeah, Senator Royce West asked simply for Whitley to define what voter suppression was, and he responded, "I think my definition is irrelevant." The top person who we are trying to confirm to be the top voting czar in this state says my definition is not important. His definition is the most important, maybe the only one that matters,
It's really, really, really messed up.
And Royce West really clapped back and said, I think it's important if you want me to vote for you.
Yeah, no, shout out to Royce West. You did great. So we're very thankful for you and thankful for your line of questioning as well.
Really, truly a jaw-dropping moment on that.
Yes.
So that's in our Best of the Week email, little gift for you to share there because it was absurd. Make sure you're commenting anything that we've missed, any events or any stories that you're following, so we can include them in our email. And then sign up for Best of the Week, progresstexas.org/subscribe. Again, I'm Charlie.
And I'm Tara.
Thank
you
you
can
for
tune in
watching.
next Friday. Bye.